Welcome back to On the Daily. This episode is about boundaries. I think this is like everyone's favorite topic, and it's definitely one of mine and something that I have really learned the hard way over the years. And so talking about boundaries and really implementing them and seeing them through and really like having these moments of check-in with the boundaries that I have set in my business has been so powerful. And I am very excited for this episode. So let's dive in. So boundaries. This is like a big topic, I think, in business. And it's a topic that I think scares people or that people get really rigid with. And I don't think it's something that has to be as scary as we make it. But I think what goes hand in hand with your success is your willingness to be misunderstood. And that is dictated by the types of boundaries that you are willing to set in business. Now, this looks so many different ways for so many different people, but for me, I used to think that I had to be accessible and available 24/7 in order to be loved, in order to have success, in order to get the things that I wanted. This is obviously very frustrating, right? Because we're conditioned to feel this way. We're conditioned to really kind of give a lot of ourselves for the things that we want. Now, I've learned that that's not necessary. And I want to share a few like anecdotes with you and a couple stories with you that have really like shaped my belief in this. But I just want you to know that the way you're going to hear me speak about this today is very different than the way I used to speak about it. And I think that it's important to note. So, okay. When I first started my business, I was on calls all the time. I was giving away a lot of one-on-one time. I would have I would have like close proximity spaces, like one-on-one coaching available for very little money, like very low ticket, a lot lower than it should have been. And so, of course, people were buying it up. And I was on like 7 calls a day. And that felt horrible in my body, but I felt like that's what I needed to do in order to scale a big business. So eventually I was like, this isn't going to work. And I really started to focus on how I wanted to be spending my time. And how I wanted to be spending my time, how I do want to be spending my time is quite literally not on calls all the time. And nor do I need to be on calls all the time because I can have containers like Scale to 6 where, there's a Slack channel and I can connect with my clients and I can offer support to my clients without being on a call with them, right? There's Voxer. I can be in Voxer with somebody without actually having to be on a call with someone. Because when you're on a call with somebody, it's like, you're not able to be in your life. You have to be in front of a computer. You have to be, on the phone. And that's something that I didn't want to do a lot of. So when I made that choice, that meant that my pricing for private mentorship had to go way up. And it is at a premium price now. And I do have clients. I only take a max of 3, like completely private clients that get calls once a week. I only take 3 of those at a time. I always have a wait list for that container. And, that price point is currently set at $20,000 every 3 months. That will go up because I have a wait list all the time. So now that I have a wait list for that price point, I know that that price point can go up. But that is something that when that happened, I had to be okay outpricing current clients. People that were working with me one-on-one no longer could afford to. And that's okay. They don't need to. And I'm sure there were people that were like, I'm sure that there were thoughts of like, oh my gosh, well, she's just like better. She just thinks she's better than everyone now. It's not that I don't think I'm better than anyone. It's truly that I just value my time in a way that I never used to. So raising my prices was a huge part of boundaries that I had to learn as a business owner very early on. The second thing that I want to share is, there have been clients that have left my containers early. And I used to, and this actually, it all happened because a little over a year ago, a client who came into my container, paid 2 payments. She chose a payment plan. She paid 2 payments, and then she left the container. And at that point, I didn't have something in my contract that's had like a breaking of contract clause, right? So what happens if you want to leave early? Like, sure, technically she still owed me that money, but like it would be really hard to chase that down, and who knows what would happen with that. So I ended up being out like $8,000 from that client. And that was at the time that felt like a lot of money. And so in that moment, we renegotiated the terms of my contracts. We added new clauses. We added, if you leave a contract early, you are still responsible for paying 50% of that. And that, probably was misunderstood by people. But at the end of the day, my time and my value is very important to me. And so I need to make sure that I'm protecting my business and I'm protecting the peace in my business in a way that not only protects my clients, because, contracts don't just protect me, they also protect my clients, and it gives them all of the information that they need. Recently, a client left a container, and now these contracts are very solid and very set in place. And there's a no refund policy, because usually when you come into my long-term containers, like Scale to 6, you immediately get access to my course dashboard, like all of my courses and my programs and stuff. Plus you get like, maybe you get a branding audit or a human design reading or something one-on-one. And then you also get all this dashboard of trainings and pre-recorded calls. So there is no refunds. And there was a client that left the container based on what was going on in their own life. I don't think that this person truly read the contract completely, and that's not on me. I don't always read contracts, but I know that like if I'm not going to read the contract, like if I miss something, that's on me. And I think that what happened, this client didn't do that, and freaked out and wanted to leave. And it had asked for a refund, and I said no, because this client had already received a private call. They'd already received, they'd already started taking some of the courses in my program, and out of respect for my business, and also out of respect for my other clients, right? If you start offering exceptions and, leniency to one client, like that's not fair to the clients who are actually there and paying you full price and staying and honoring their contracts. So it's not just for you. It's not just for the client in question. It's also for all of your other clients. It's for the integrity of your business as a whole. So this client was very upset that I wouldn't offer a refund, and said something to the tune of, if you make as much money as you claim to, why wouldn't you just grant a refund to somebody who's struggling financially? And Danielle 6 years ago, y'all, would have definitely been like, oh my gosh, like, no, I'm not unreasonable. Here, let me prove it to you by giving you this refund just this once. But just this once was still sucking my soul. It was still feeling awful in my body. So it's like, I decided like, I'm not doing that. And, it was very easy, because now I have a team. So I have an executive assistant. I have a chief operations officer in my business, my company, and they handle all of that. They handle all my client questions. They handle all payment stuff. They handle HR. Like that's their job. So it really does get to create this kind of like separation where I'm not having to be so personally involved with the like logistics of the business, which is how most companies run, by the way, right? Like the CEO is not offering you a refund. It's the HR department. It's the sales team. It's whoever. And so, dealing with your refund request. So this client was very upset, and I can understand that. I can understand why somebody would be very upset. That makes sense to me that somebody would be very upset. And that does not mean, just because I understand it, does not mean that I need to bend the boundaries of my business in order to accommodate that person. And I didn't. And, a lot of really mean and like inappropriate things were said in my DMs. I did not respond. Like at that point, I disengage, right? Like one thing I have very strong boundaries around is like I have a 0 tolerance policy for disrespect in my business. If there is disrespect either to someone else in my containers or to me, or, in some way, if there is disrespect, it's a 0 tolerance, and you will be escorted out of the building, because I don't have time for that. They don't have time for that. My other clients don't have time for that. And it's just something I have a 0 tolerance policy for. So, this is to say, like, don't be afraid to set really strong terms and conditions in your contracts. That's what they're there for. And it's not just for you, it's for them as well. So, if this client would have read the contract in full, then they probably wouldn't have asked for a refund because they would have known that that wasn't happening, right? Or they wouldn't have joined the container in the first place. Another place I've really set boundaries is around social media. I used to kind of coach in the DMs for free. Like, people would come and they'd pick my brain and I would give them feedback, thinking like, oh, if I give them feedback, then they'll want to join my programs. Wrong. If you give them coaching in the DMs, why would they pay you? Like, your programs now are watered down. And again, that's not in integrity with your current clients, with my current clients, the people who were paying me. If I'm coaching for free in the DMs, then that's out of integrity for the people that are actually paying me. So I don't answer questions in the DMs anymore. I don't coach in the DMs anymore. And I certainly don't allow disrespect in the DMs anymore. So if somebody slides into my DMs and they say some like hateful shit or some, inappropriate things either in the DMs or a comment on my post, like, I used to like respond in the comment. I don't do that anymore. There's no responding. Again, zero tolerance policy. People get escorted out of the building. Like, that's just how it is. That's just how I am. That's protecting my peace. My peace and my freedom are the number one priority. And that's what I try to model for my clients so that they can do the same. And if I'm bending my own boundaries, then that energy is going to be reflected outward. And that's what my clients are going to think they need to do in order to be successful. And then I am not doing my job as their mentor. So if you are in a position of leadership, either as a coach or in the corporate world or wherever you're in a position of leadership, it is the best thing you can do to set really strong, rock solid boundaries in your business. And if you're not willing to do that, then that energy is going to be reflected back to you either in the way that people deal with you or the way that your clients then act in their own business, right? If you are a client, if you are somebody who has not transcended the need to be needed or transcended the addiction to outside validation, if you're in a position of leadership and you have not done that, then the only type of person you will attract into your business is people who need everything from you, who put you on pedestals. And then when you don't meet up, like, if you don't meet their expectations once because they don't even meet their expectations, they're going to try to tear you down. And so it's really important that you're paying attention to your energy in your business. It's really important that you're paying attention to the boundaries you set in your business and really being clear on why you have them in the first place. Because if you're not willing to do that, then you're constantly going to be attracting misaligned clients. You're going to be attracting misaligned people. And that energy that you have in your business is going to transcend to the way you are with your friends, the way you are with your family, the way you are with your partner, your kids. So really getting clear and really honoring the type of existence, the type of life that you want, and then setting boundaries that reflect that is going to be the best thing you do in your business. And people always go, well, how do I set boundaries? How do I do this? Well, that's what I teach inside of my containers. And that's one of the reasons why you should definitely be with a coach who has done it and has had these tough conversations and has been through these tough moments. I can't imagine not having my mentor because I know that she's been through things that I haven't been through. And when I go through them, I know that she's going to be able to give me really solid advice. So you should definitely have a mentor if you're building a business. If for no other reason, then they have had to set the boundaries that you're feeling really uncomfortable with setting right now, raising your prices, solid contracts, no refunds, not coaching in the DMs, not having a tolerance policy for inappropriate behavior, the ability to have the tough conversations, right? Like, these are things that you do need mentorship for. I do believe that. And that's a hill I'll die on. So on that note, I will see you next week. Love ya.